Welcome, my good colleague Bogdan on the loan. How are you today?
Oh, to be honest, enjoying,
That is,
enjoying. It's how to explain. When you surround yourself with people that you can have this type of conversations, it's always joyful, isn't it? Yeah,
very much so. Yeah, very much so. Because I read your background before, obviously, doing the prep work and all that. I'm like, okay, I'm really happy to have this conversation because it reminds us, even if we're working in the space and we're all trying to help ourselves be better and help others grow and all of that,
Yeah.
to simplify things. There's a lot more to it than that. But when you have conversations like this, you end the conversations, you go, okay, I want more. And also you're pumped up. You're like, okay, I'm ready to take it on now. So it's a good thing to have in life and stuff like that. So why don't you share a little bit about yourself and then we'll dig deeper into the conversation.
Yeah, for sure. So my name is Bogdan. I'm originally Macedonian, right? I've been living in Dubai for 16 years. At the moment, for the last year, I'm in Bali. Just that's why I said I'm enjoying life. And what I do in general is, you know, how many entrepreneurs, leaders, high performers around they kind of cap their potential and they're consistently living day by day fulfilled with stress, burnout, which follows with many difficult, let's say, unwanted results after that. And they've been through therapy, they've read the books, they've done the work, all the coping mechanisms have done, but still nothing changes. So what I do is actually I help all those people to get rid of that negative emotions, that negative beliefs, um, uh, completely that identity shift from within in a matter of days rather than in 20 years of therapy, in a matter of days, using my proprietary method called Be Relentless Method that I have been developing in the last decade. And so they can actually continue growing, continue performing beyond peak performance while maintaining calm, while maintaining peace, and while maintaining a resourceful, healthy state of mind and body, obviously, that follows. And they can just keep on reaching new heights. So that's in general what I do and how I do it.
No, I love that. And I know that leaders, especially, and I see this all the time, where they want some results. And the traditional methods, which we see a lot of our counterparts do, and I'm not knocking it at all. If it works and it helps people, by all means, do it. But I find time and time again, especially the higher up the ranks you go, or how, productive or how many obligations a leader may have, when you say, okay, we're going to go through this, 9-month program, they don't know how they're going to get through the next 9 minutes, much less the next 9 months. So
Yep.
your method definitely raises a lot of awareness and ideas, because even the title of it, being relentless,
Yeah.
strong leaders tend to be very relentless. That's how they get to the levels that they get to. They're relentless. They go at it. They do it. But then I see it all the time where they hit either a plateau, or some self-doubt comes in, or they get frustrated. Maybe they lose a little bit of that energy and momentum that they've
Yeah.
had, and it's never smooth sailing. It's always
Yeah.
going to be challenges, and the more time goes on, as we've seen, especially over these last 5+ years, never a
Yeah.
shortage of challenges in our world, whether
Yeah.
it's pandemic or global strife, wars, tariffs, you name it. There's so many things that happen in life. And as a leader in ever-changing business situations, it can really challenge your beliefs as far as, okay, am I able to do this? Well, the answer is yes, you are.
Absolutely.
But you have to kind of find out a little bit more about you and start, digging into, what's the programming or the language you're using in yourself, to, tie into your NLP background is like,
Yes.
a lot. I find a lot of times, myself included, I'll find myself, thinking things or saying things. I'm like, yeah, but that's not true. Where's that coming
Yeah.
from? And it could be a past experience, a past situation that you bring forward, that baggage that we all carry around. And
Yeah.
in airplanes, they say, okay, a limit of bags. I think humans need to do the same thing and quit dragging all this baggage around that we do. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, but absolutely. One of my favorite saying, let's say, how I think, many people would say, especially, leaders, entrepreneurs, high achievers, and everything else, they're striving towards becoming something more or becoming someone else. You will see in the mainstream is being consistently used, become a new version of yourself. In my mind, works a little bit different. How about you remember who you truly were before you forgot and the world takes its hands on you to condition you in that way? How about unbecoming who you weren't to begin with? That's how I want to see the world, because sometimes I work on the principle on subtraction, not on addition. Because the diamond is there. All you need to remove is the mud that is covering its shyness. And when it comes to that point, is that baggage that you mentioned is simply you don't need to become someone else. You just need to remove what you're not. And that can be in the different stages of life, reflect different ways. Even myself, even with, I have been working with literally multi-millionaires and billionaires as a clients of mine, that that is a kind of a consistent work. But when you reach a new heights and when you set a new standards and when you set new goals, then something that wasn't present starts showing up because you didn't have a need. It was not aligned with those goals. It was not aligned with those standards that you just set up, and they show their face. And all it needs to be done is deal with that thing, right? I'll give a simple example. I mean, even my grandma knows what limiting beliefs right now it is, but does she really? And most of the people are talking about limiting beliefs. And when I start talking with people like, okay, how do you deal with those limiting beliefs? Like, what are you actually doing? And it's like, oh, I do reframing. I have learned slate of mouth. I have learned a little bit here on NLP. I've been working and I'm just reframing. And it was like, if you have a need to be reframing it, that same belief every single day, that sounds to me like you're just coping with it rather than really reframing it. And simply, I cannot blame anyone because not everyone have had access to this knowledge, but there is something that precedes that belief. And let's differentiate what belief it is. It's just a generalization of a thought that we accepted as true at any given moment of our life. Most of them have been unconscious, and some of them through a significant emotional experiences through life, and we made a generalization of it. We practice it 1, 2, 3 times in our head and became a belief, which means that there was a moment when there was a decision when that belief was accepted. So now I'm not going to treat it like a limiting belief, I'm going to treat it like a limiting decision that it was made. Now, why so, let's say, I don't want to use the word hard, but why is not that easy to reframe or rewire a certain belief is because there is an anchor in that limiting decision. And that anchor is usually a negative emotion that got stored in our nervous system around that process, situation of everything. It may be fear, anger, sadness, hurt, guilt, shame, whatever happened then. And that works like a glue. until we release that emotion first, until we delete it from our nervous system. Literally, when I say deleting, because you can delete it, we release it completely, that belief will going to stay strong. So my work here and my approach to this is, okay, let's get rid of that emotion first, get it done, and then when there is no emotion, there is not that glue, that cement, that anchor that is holding that, and then we can rewire and reframe the belief into whatever serves us more purpose. So it's definitely more of a subtraction rather than addition of things. Definitely more getting rid of a baggage that hold us back rather than trying to climb a new heights with that backpack on ourselves.
I love that approach to that because yeah, I'm a big fan of, I do this several times a year, and I saw Ram Tran, a leadership guy, has written some books.
Yeah.
He's advised presidents and world leaders for a long time. And I saw him speak several years ago at a leadership conference. And he talks about an exercise he does at least once a year where he reviews everything that he does. And then he decides, okay, there's going to be something, a task, activity, habit, something like that he decides in the new year he will never do again. He's like, I'm going to
Yeah.
stop doing that, period. And it reminded me of that because it's an exercise that I've done over the, ever since I, saw him speak about that. I'm like, that's brilliant. Uh, because what it does is those habits and those beliefs that are actually limiting decisions, and I love that's a game changer for me, just thinking about that. Like, ooh, in a way, when you tell somebody that, from my perspective anyway, and I'll get your thoughts on this in a minute, when everybody says, okay, limiting beliefs, like you mentioned, we said, no, it's a limiting decision. We can change our mind. When you say you got to change your beliefs, a lot of people go, those are my beliefs, I can't change those are mine, I can't
Yeah.
do that. You can change your mind on a decision that you made.
Yeah.
And that gives people the freedom to actually do the, sometimes delicate work. Sometimes you got to be abrasive and just empty that junk drawer and start afresh. And by doing
Yeah.
that, what you're doing is you're setting up your life to be what you want it to be now, and
Yeah.
not bringing back those past memories, past situations, past things. You're like, well, I could need this, I could use this. But your backpack analogy is perfect because if you're going to be, clown or climbing a big mountain, yeah, you're going to want a backpack of some things that you'll need, but you definitely don't need that puzzle that you had when you were in kindergarten. You don't need that.
E-
You don't need,
Exactly.
you don't need to bring past relationships or, friends you don't talk to anymore. You don't need to bring any of that. You bring, okay, what do I need to be successful? And you kind of
Yeah.
clear the table and you go, all right,
Yeah.
what do I need to do on this? So love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah. I've noticed a pattern among many people, many of us, and that had been mine as well. When we set a certain outcomes, we have two different drivers for motivation, right? One is running away from pain, and another is running towards pleasure. And when that aligns with our values, let's say, of growth, we really need to dig a little bit deeper in ourselves. Are we running towards pleasure or are we running away from pain to use as a motivation? Simple example, if someone says, I want to be rich. So, what is the driver behind? I want to be rich or I don't want to be poor? Here is the thing. And many people use that pain because we have been conditioned that way. You need to work hard, you need to suffer, you need to do all of that stuff. Running away from pain is a big motivation. But then what happens? If your motivation is running away from pain, what are you going to be searching your whole life? Pain to go through so you can come to the next level, which doesn't need to be that way because that itself is just a belief that was installed of us when we didn't even have the opportunity to question the validity of its truth. So it like is Simple if someone says, I don't want to be fat, or I want to be fit and in the best shape of my life. Our brain, our mind, our unconscious mind will give us completely different answers because I don't want to be fat presupposes that you are fat already. And then you're just rehearsing that in your head, and you will find so many reasons that you are already fat and obese and unhealthy. But when you shift, how can I get in the best shape of my life while I'm enjoying the whole process? You will start getting different answers. Your mind will going to point out which way, which route to take so you can achieve that outcome that you're looking towards that. And I've noticed, especially in the business, in the, let's say, high-end business world, I was having a I apologize. Having a friend of mine, he is a super successful business owner in Dubai. He has the best personal training company in Dubai, like around 190 employees, like gro- crazy growth. And his approach was that I need to find something bad, I need to be in control, and I need to push through it. Cool. I mean, when someone is a friend, you cannot coach them, right? Because they know you as a friend, not as a coach. Advice is there, but is it going to accept it? Until he finished on antidepressants, until he lost his whole health and absolute everything. And he's 41 years old right now in the moment, and his life got down. And then he came for a help, and I was like, so what should I do? And I was like, okay, let's see what's behind that. Why do you need to be like that? Discover, elicit that part, and then change. Because if we are taught, if we learned that you need to work hard, that doesn't mean that you need to be lazy and sleep. It means you can put the same amount of work, make the same effort while feeling peaceful, while being resourceful. Even the meaning of the word hard itself presupposes suffer. But I want to change it. Like in my life, I change it. Instead of saying like I need to work hard, I say I will work the right amount of effort during the right amount of time that is aligned with my outcomes. Straight away, the meaning changes. It applies everything beneficial that needs to be done to put all the work in without feeling bad and without getting into that stressing situation and get into fight or flight mode, and then digestive system shuts down, then the immune system shuts down, and frontal lobe shuts down, which means we are practically dumb because we are operating on 20% of our intelligence in that moment. I would rather be from a place of empowerment, from a place of joy, from a place of love, from a place of responsibility towards something higher than me without needing to worry what happens next. That we're going to we have plans, Michael. All the time we have plans. We as a human beings we want to predict the future. We want to make plans about it, but plan never goes the way. And we learn throughout when we put ourselves into that fire, we learn how to navigate it. The plan almost never work. Obviously, there is some smart things and timelines and whatever it is your project, you can do it. But how more resourceful you will be while if you're operating from peace? How more you will straight away you will put more work in because it's joyful. If you put more work in, results are going to change anyway. If obstacle comes across, you see it as a lesson, not as a curse. You just move other way. So we have the choice to do all of those things. We just need to make our mind to it and to really find out what is it that is blocking us, that is enforcing that way of thinking.
I
If
lo-
we know that results are coming from the sum total of our behaviors, and the sum total of our behaviors, which means what we do and what we don't do, comes directly from our state, which is our emotions. And our emotions come directly from our way of thinking, from our thoughts. Means to change the results is we just need to change how we think about. Or not just to change the thoughts, because thoughts are neutral in nature, but to change the meaning making. And changing the meaning making process is just a process of filtering data internally that is really connected with our conditioning, with our experiences, with our own model of the world. The belief that we created, this is wrong, this is right, this is good, this is bad, this is white, this is black. The moment when we tuck that part, then change, growth, expansion happens effortlessly.
And you said so much there, and one of the things that came to mind early in what you just said was talking about when people are trying to get into better shape, and they stress about it instead of
Yeah.
being peaceful about it. So what's happening is our bodies, when we have stress, our bodies, amygdala, the brain, all that stuff's going, ooh, stress is present. We need to utilize some resources to try to get rid of this stress. So
Yeah.
you're just adding additional ingredients to it. It's like, okay, I want to run a 5K. All right, great. Well, you're stressing about it, so we're just going to have you wear these cement shoes, and okay, start running with those. And you're not getting very far. You're bogged down. You're held back. You're anchored, and it's everything is you made a decision. A lot of the programming that we've got, with like you said, without us really evaluating. It's like signing a contract when you're buying something and you don't even look at the contract. So you have no idea what the terms are. You have no idea anything about it. You're just gonna take it and you realize, oh wait,
Absolutely.
um, I thought I bought this phone. Well, you did, but we have a plan where you buy it every year from us. Oh, wait a minute, I didn't want to do that. Well, that was in the deal. Do I get a new phone? No, you keep buying this phone. Oh, okay. When can I get out of it? Oh, you don't. Oh, okay. And all of a sudden you're like stressing out, going, how am I going to get out of this contract? Because I didn't pay attention to, what I was doing. And we go through life, not that we need to pay the same amount of it. And how do I want to word this? We don't have to pay the same amount of attention to certain things to other, but if we're present and not stressing or worrying about the future or dwelling on something that happened yesterday or this morning or maybe 10 years ago. Some people will not let go for some reason. And it's like, then they wonder why they're not getting anywhere. Like, well,
Well,
you're holding on to something that's long past. It's like that boat left the dock. They've actually tore out the dock, and now it's all condos in front of that dock. So
yeah.
the boat can't come there anyway. So why are you waiting for that boat? Time and time again, I see people just. uh, It's not an excuse, but it is in a way where they like. It's that I know this. I don't want to call them a victim, but I'll work with this for a minute. I
Yeah.
like this victim mentality because it serves me. It doesn't,
Mm.
but it feels like it serves them and it gets them attention. And if they don't get the attention, then they get no one's paying attention to me. So I'm playing victim because I'm not being paid attention as a victim. So you see this cycle that people stay stuck in,
Yeah.
and then you see people that overcome that and change their mindset, change how they react to things. They understand, as you said, it's, a decision instead of a
Yes.
belief. I mean, if that's one big takeaway from this, folks, as you're listening to this or watching this, decision versus beliefs. You get that right, that's going to be a game changer for your life, no matter what else you do. That is a huge, huge step. So, in closing, love to hear your thoughts on what we just said.
Sorry, I didn't hear the last one.
Oh, I said, interesting. As we wrap up, is there anything else you'd like to share? Some additional insights for the audience?
Yeah, I will share this. You mentioned something else, that victim mindset, right? The law of cause and effect. If someone wants to experience limitless and effortless empowerment, is when we actually decide to be the cause of everything, of all the results that are in our lives. Even even if it's not our fault, just by pretending that it is, just by pretending we are getting the remote control of our results in our hands. And when we have the control, it's what is it that I can do about this to actually change the outcomes that I have in life and they want to get. Because if we say government did this, economy did this, I'm in this situation because of this, that's not in your control, is it? So if it's not in your control, you cannot do anything about it, and you just stay the victim, and you cannot change it. But the moment when you say, like, what is it that I can change? Is it going to be even the fact of how can I think differently about this situation will going to put you in different situation. What I can change? Do I need to restructure the company? Do I need to leave the country? Do I need to set up entity in Dubai so I deal with the taxes differently? Do I need to? What is in your power? Then you're getting control over your life, over your emotions, over your results, and the likelihood of getting different, better results are way higher than just saying that the world is happening to me. In fact, we cannot experience the world directly. We are incapable. We are only capable to experience our own thinking about the world. So with that in mind, if someone wants to learn more about this, and I'm sharing this type of content very often, probably I'm the most active on Instagram, and they can find me like Mikov Bogdan, Micov Bogdan. I hope I spelled that right. And I'm sharing that type of content. Soon I will probably maybe start sharing a little bit long form of content, but whoever wants to get involved in this world and to actually understand that it's easy to change. Doesn't need to be difficult. And it's easy to get to where you want only by changing focus and thinking. Then I hope they will going to find a lot of value into it.
Yeah, I'll definitely have the link with the proper spelling because I'm going to copy and paste it from when I find it in the show notes. So, Bogdan,
Yeah.
thank you so much for being you in this work and giving people the courage to recognize that they can design their life that the way that they really want it to be. So, really appreciate your time today on the show.
It was my pleasure to be here, and I just want to encourage you, just keep on doing what you're doing it. I need to acknowledge you about this. I know how much of a hard work this it is and to do, but just being yourself. And everyone who is listening, please go ahead, leave a 5-star review to the podcast itself, like, subscribe wherever it is, because we need to hear a little bit more of those subjects in this time more than ever.